Yeah, good morning. It's on days like today where, the benefit of this format, of making these daily videos really becomes very obvious for me because having slept very little, woken up again with bad nausea, great difficult to sit in meditation because if there's nausea and then such tiredness that it hurts, but at the same time the body is wired. Um, Actually, you don't want to be present with it. It takes a lot of energy actually to be present with it. Um, yeah, that's why I really appreciate doing this also. Um, because I don't think I would have come out here onto the rocks, done some stretching, a bit of qigong. Um, I would have gone more probably into distracting myself, doing something to not feel it. And yeah, I guess it's a fine line, yeah? But what I'm doing, I'm basically keeping the momentum, right? So for me, it's a bit of a picture of keeping the foot on the gas. And this has been, it's something that I've thought a lot about. I'm not going to go into detail now, but I've just seen in 2019, for example, where I had to take the foot off completely and rested for so many months. Didn't help at all. And over the years I've seen again and again, if I take the foot off the gas, typically the body crashes and it might take days, weeks, even months to get the energy level up. So if the stopping and the trying to rest, but the resting is not happening, if that doesn't work, then the only thing I'm really left with is to keep the foot off the gas. But it just feels like walking the razor's edge. And to some extent also feels like almost violent towards my own body. So yeah, I'll get more into that later. Today's video is it's a continuation of yesterday, where I'd mentioned I found myself at this psychiatrist office, who is a doctor. I mean, a neurologist and a psychiatrist, they're both doctors, but for me, my symptoms, they felt so physical, it was very difficult for me to imagine that I had any kind of whatever else going on. Just up front, I'm not proud of having taken any meds between 2018 and end of 2019. I am grateful to have gotten out of it. Because that can be really a very powerful and sometimes deadly grip they have on you. So to get these substances out of the body again is not easy. So I'm forever grateful that since 2020 I've been away from all of that. But I do want to share this because I know there's people out there. And it's for that. I mean, let's go. So another thing that struck me is probably it paints a picture of a bit of a paradox. Like, how can I say I was at breaking point, and then at the same time I tell you that I traveled 45 minutes to get to a doctor? These seemed like total contradictions, right? And I can only explain it this way. It feels like one is about to collapse. But then, because there's hope, and going somewhere with the intention of getting treated, obviously is associated with hope. And I've also had the repeated experience, if I just take that leap of faith, I just do it, I just jump, then somehow the body pulls energy from somewhere, and for that period of time, those number of hours, the body will just function somehow. Yeah, not well, but it will somehow stay upright, so to say. Yeah, afterwards it will crash, but it will somehow get me through this. that's also how I was able to do the flights to Germany, and yeah, that's as best as I can describe it, yeah? Because I understand that when I say these things, they seem like, what is this guy even saying? So in this doctor's office, yeah, I felt totally in the wrong place. He tried to convince me that I'm depressed, and I felt everything but depressed. I felt like on fire, like sitting in a car and one foot on the gas and one on the brake, and the whole engine is howling. And yes, I'm tired, but I'm extremely wired at the same time. So whatever he said didn't really make sense to me. But I thought, you know what else to do? You know? So I told myself, you know what? I'm going to give this a month. I'm going to try his protocol for a month. So I walked away with a sleeping pill, an antidepressant, and a tranquilizer. So none of it worked. The tranquilizer, I could feel that he asked me to take one in the morning, 1 milligram of lorazepam in the morning and one at noon. Yeah, and he told me in his, I don't know, almost sarcastic way, do you want to feel really cool? And I was like, what? Like, how can you ask a patient like me such a stupid question? But anyways, I didn't feel cool at all. I felt it's this ever so slightly a little bit more relaxed, but hardly noticeable. So I did this for several weeks until I thought to myself, I think around, no, rather a few weeks, I think around week 3, I started playing. I thought, okay, let me change this because this is not working. So I continued with the sleeping pill and the antidepressant as prescribed, but instead of taking 2 individual doses of lorazepam, I put them both together, and I found, oh, if I do that, I actually feel something. And then week 3 or 4, I started taking both of them together before going to bed, and then I found out, wow, I can actually sleep for 6 hours now. And that made a big difference. That really allowed the body to regain some strength. So after 4 weeks, I chucked the sleeping pill and the antidepressant because they weren't doing anything other than making me groggy, and I stuck to that. And I'm not cursing tranquilizers, also known as benzos, but they are really, really difficult because their effect is quite clean, and they actually manage in high enough dose to take off the edge for a few hours. Yeah, so I actually regained some strength, and obviously once that is experienced, the last thing you want to do is let go of the thing that is stopping you a little bit. Yeah, and now fast forward, I spent that summer in Germany. My intention had been to go on a long journey with my daughter together, because since I was at least intending to home educate her, partially there were days where I couldn't do anything for her. But the idea was to go to interesting places, like eco-villages, and where people really came together and tried to address, or in present tense also, try to address the big questions. How do we manage to live together peacefully? How do we do energy sustainably? Food, water, all these things. Yeah. How do we address the pressing questions? Yeah, but I found out that I just couldn't. Yeah, I remember asking my mother to to spend some time with my daughter. They wanted to go down south, and I thought, okay, I'm now just gonna do a self-retreat, a meditation self-retreat, and I'm gonna go all in. And to experience that, other than ending up with a back that was so tense that I couldn't even sit upright anymore. Actually, in a way, I felt even more broken. Yeah. And where do you go from there? Following our experiences of doctors and doctors and doctors, more doctors in Germany, natural practitioners, yeah, this protocol, that protocol. Finally, a doctor sending me to hospital, presenting there, being treated like shit the moment they found out that I was taking lorazepam. They treated me like an addict, basically. Yeah. They shouted at me. And I was like, wow. And I ended up on the street at midnight. They made me understand, look, there is no place for you here. Yeah, that experience taught me that once you honestly say that you're taking a tranquilizer, then you end up in a box for them. And it doesn't matter what you say. From that point onwards, it doesn't matter what you say. You're not going to get out of that box anymore. They have, the verdict is there. That's it. And for a person like me in that state, it's such a shocking experience, because you feel like, look, if I could give you my state just for a minute, then our conversation would dramatically change immediately. But obviously I can't. So it's this utter helplessness. It's that big bag of emotions, and yet just appearing completely naked and raw, and asking for help, stretching out a hand, please help me, begging for help, and then just to be, I don't know, pushed out the door, literally. That is extremely difficult to digest. And where do you go from there? The doctor promised, once you've run out of options yourself, you think, okay, maybe a doctor can help you. The first one can't help you, the second one. And maybe some alternative, maybe some healer, some shaman, whatever. No? And then you do the hospital, and then the hospital can't help you, and then you do emergency room, but then what? It feels like, look, I've exhausted all options, and now there's no plan B. And now what? And this is where really, like, it feels tremendously lonely, scary. There's many words I could use to describe this state. But to be continued.